Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be giving you a look at my Gibson G3 bass, the source of much interest amongst bass players who like strange, funky, rare kind of equipment. This is my first demo video, so bear with me. I'm going to try to aim it more at people who are thinking about buying this bass and practicalities of, owning it and what to expect when you do have it. There's a guy named Scott Grove who did 2 reviews on one of these, and I'll try to be a little bite more objective than he was, but the reason I got this bass is because, I liked old Green Day as a kid, and Mike Dirnt, I know, used one. Whether he used it on like all the records, I don't know. I think he used it on Insomniac. I'm not sure about Dookie, but I know he used it on Kerplunk because it was like the only nice bass that he had. Now the build quality. When I got it, the tone knob was stuck so bad that one time I tried turning it, it twisted the actual pot and broke the soldering off, so I had to get that repaired. The toggle switch has been giving me trouble. It seems like sometimes if I go from the bridge position up to the middle, it won't get a signal, or get a clean signal from the neck pickup like it should. But other than that, I'd say the build quality is probably right on par with like a Fender Mexican Standard. It's not terrible, but it could be a little better. But, it was a budget model from the 70s, so it is what it is. I mean, it's good enough. The tone of this thing is so meaty that whenever you play it through an amp, you gotta, like, kind of scoop out the bottom end, and you really gotta put more emphasis on the high end, because this thing is just so really meaty, and it packs a lot of mid-range punch. And I'll show you what I mean. But yeah, I mean, it also has a high ends too. Now, as far as playing it like in a band, that's really where this thing shines, because I was a Fender jazz bass player. That's not really a jazz bass; it's a Jaguar, but it's a lot like a jazz bass. And when I played it in a trio for a long time, and it was great. But when I joined a 4-piece, and I had 2 guitarists with humbuckers and their bridge positions, and really like big thick guitar sounds, I needed something that would punch through it. So I got this, and it sounded great. It always punched through the mix perfectly. I was always heard really well, and yeah, it's a good solid bass to own. Octaves resonate really well in this. Harmonics. I'm not going to get too much into the history or the construction of this bass because, there was that guy Scott Grove who did plenty of it. But these things are a little fickle to work with. I mean, you can't run them through like typical bass settings. You got to really zero in on what will make this bass sound good. But it's an incredibly unique tone. It, sounds like nothing else. Now the neck is a little bit thicker than like a P bass, and it doesn't taper off at the end. It's also a 34.5-inch scale, and with the 3-body strings, the tension is going to be way different than what it would be on a Fender. So your standard gauge strings are going to behave a little bit differently. So that's one thing to prepare for. And your straps are going to need to be a little bit longer because the body plate's so big that if you put it on like a strap, say you have a jazz bass and it hangs down to your waist, if you put the same strap on a G3, it'll come up a little bit higher, so you need a longer strap. And what else? Oh, the body plate is really fat, and that's an issue with cases, because I have the case that it came with. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. Yeah, and it sucks. Only two of the latches still work, and the handle fell off. And finding a new case for these things is really a pain in the ass because the body plate's so damn fat. But I mean, they are amazing basses. They're not too much for clarity, but that's kind of good because these strings are really old and it still sounds like, a G3 should, So yeah, if you're thinking about buying one of these, I totally recommend it. Like anything, it all depends on the particular example that you find. This one used to belong to someone who was left-handed. As you can see, there's a hole for a strap button on the opposite horn. And there's also fret markers down the other side of the neck, which I think is kind of funny. I don't know, there's also a little bit of a wear over here, I guess from where their arm landed. The new G3, I haven't played one, but from what I can gather from knowing the specs on it, it's more corporate Gibson. It's got a set neck and the standard tri-post bridge, but it's not a through-body option. It's just the tri-post bridge. It's got more traditional style single coil pickups where they have the pole pieces and they're spaced out more evenly on the body. So you have one at the bridge, one right in the middle, and one right underneath the neck. They're not really calling it a reissue, and I don't think Gibson has called any of the recent basses that they've redone reissues, which is kind of good because they've all been, different. But, if you play one and you like it, go ahead and buy it. 'Cause I'm sure they're cool basses in their own right, but if you want a true vintage one, then, you gotta go with the true vintage one because there's nothing else that'll sound like it. Alright, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.